and we're here again with another episode of Jumpstart Monday. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and we're waiting for our tribe to come up so we can begin sharing a proverb that has touched us, an online course, and or a book. So as I said, we're streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on YouTube. So let's start first and foremost by getting your messages in, see how you're feeling today. Drop us a note so we'll know. And anyone who shares this episode today gets a chance to win a Stand Up, Stand Out, our online course, a complimentary subscription. And in just less than a few seconds, I'm going to be announcing our winner from our draw for the Stand Up, Stand Out. Our winner, dear friends, is Yanos Christoforou. He's the winner of the Stand Up, Stand Out. He has shared our video, the Jumpstart Monday, and feel free to share it whilst you're live now or whilst you're watching it recording throughout the week until next Monday, and you go into the draw for winning the Stand Up, Stand Out online course, which is a course on public speaking and presentation skills. So drop us a note if you're watching us. Tell us how you're feeling today. Our tribe is not shy at all. And I've seen you coming up many times. Come on, drop us a note to see that you're here. And now let's go on with our proverb of the day. It comes from John C. Maxwell. He says, every day you're either preparing or repairing. You're either preparing for tomorrow or you're repairing yesterday because you failed to prepare. This was perhaps one of the most influential proverbs that I heard in order to understand another proverb which says, to fail to prepare is to prepare to fail. So if you don't do your work, then you have to run back and repair yesterday for failing to prepare. And as we said in our recent webinar with the European University Cyprus and many times in the past, you need to do your push-ups. No one else can do your push-ups for you. So you need to go back and either create a system or find a system. And since we're talking about a system for preparing, I will talk about David Allen's work, which is Getting Things Done, the Art of Stress-Free Productivity, which comes from LinkedIn Learning. The same person has written some amazing books. I highly suggest his book, Getting Things Done, which is all about his methodology. And his methodology has one thing in mind. His whole premise can be found in the next sentence, that your head is for having ideas, not for holding ideas. And what he wants to do is to get your head clear with all that information that has been inundating your head and doesn't leave it to work properly. Because as he says in his program, our brain is the leakiest place in the world. So we will forget what we have in there if we don't write it down. His methodology is simple. I'm going to capture it. I'm going to tell it to you, just simply mention it, but I'll let you read and find out more about it. You capture all the information that is not on autopilot. Then you clarify which goes where. Then you start organizing the information and seeing who will undertake what thing. Then you reflect. Reflect is very important. As we reflect in our lives, as we meditate, as we look at things, by looking at our lives, how we have grown and how we have come thus far, we need to reflect on our work. And one of the things that he says in his online program and has really resonated with me is he asks us, do you know which is the best day of the year? And he says that the best day of the year for any employee or for any owner, manager, whatever, leader, is the day before they go on holidays, because they reflect on what needs to be done, what needs to be allocated and to whom, and delegated or referred. And that's the day that you want to get out of the office with a clear conscience and a clear to-do list. That's exactly how we should be acting on a daily basis, as he says, at least on a weekly basis, to reflect and go through our work. And then we engage. We see what we can do, what we can delegate, or what we can defer for a later date or for a task list. Through all the things I learned from the gentleman here. Some of the main thing that I need to mention is the 2-minute rule. Let's show some of the comments later on. The 2-minute rule. And the 2-minute rule says the following. If you can do it within 2 minutes and you can finish the task, don't start storing the task, trying to retrieve the task, because it will take you a long time. So if you can do it within 2 minutes, get over and get it done with, and teach your team as well to do the exact same thing. And this rule has proven, at least in my books, and for me, has proven very effective. And he talks about the 3 Ds. Do it, delegate it within 2 minutes, or defer it to another date, on another date, and to a task list. But now, as we always do here on the Jumpstart Monday, I need to tell you what I do in my line of work, because this is what resonates with me. This is what I've seen working for the last 20 years. And let me show you a few of the things. First and foremost, I want to talk about the 80-20 rule, about the Italian economist Wilfredo Pareto. For those of you who might not know it, and I have a feeling that most of you do know the 80-20 rule, and drop me a note if you know the 80-20 rule, or if you don't. The Italian economist Wilfredo Pareto noticed in 1895 that 20% of the Italians had 80% of the wealth, and 80% of the Italians had 20% of the wealth. In other words, most of the wealth in the country was in the hands of 20% of the people. And then when he went on to write his book and analyze the theory further, he found out that 20% of the employees in a company do 80% of the work. 20% of the salespeople in a company sell 80%, do 80% of the sales. 20% of our friends, we hang out with them 80% of the time. 20% of our clothes, we wear 80% of the time. And 20% of the restaurants, we visit 80% or we frequent 80% of the time. Even 20% of the people who owe us money owe us 80% of the money that is being owed in the company. So having looked at the 80-20 rule, I also found, and it's extraordinary that the percentage is near there, it's 80-20 or it's 79-21. I also found that out of the 10 things you need to do on a particular day, 2 out of the 8 or 3 out of the 8 will give you 80% of the value for the day, for the week, or for the year. So start with those 2 first. Which are the 2 items that you need to do today in order to deliver 80% of the value for yourself, for your company? And even if you get sick, knock on wood, you still completed 80% of the value of the day. So let's have an exercise on this. Take a sheet of paper, please, and a pen, and I'm going to show some of your comments until you do that. And write 5 things that you do, 5 things that you do that deliver only 20% of the value for your company or for yourself. Write 5 things that you do. Anything goes. Let's say, for example, to complete your financial accounts or to write thank you notes. What are the 5 things that you do that only bring 20% of the value for your company? Write it down. 5 things. Good morning, Roxani. Good morning, Bambos. My friend George Ioannou, whom I met recently. Good morning, George. Happy to have met you. Very good. Now, turn the page and write 5 items, 5 things that you do, 5 actions that you do that bring 80% of the value for your company or for yourselves if you are a solopreneur or entrepreneur. 5 things. What are the 5 things? For example, preparing a LinkedIn course in order to deliver value to the masses, or writing offers. Doesn't matter, for each one, it might be different. What are the 5 things that you do that bring 80% of the value? So now take the first list from the 5 items that you've written down that deliver only 20% of the value, and try to understand that you need to eliminate some of those things, either by not doing them or by delegating them to an outside source or to your team. And take the other list with the 5 items that deliver 80% of the value, and understand that those things are the things you need to work on first, in order at the end of the year, at the end of the month, or end of the year, or end of the day, you have 80% of the value derived from those items. So that's the first thing I do. I 80-20 everything because of Wilfredo Barreto. The second thing I do, and this is the book I suggest that you read, other than David Allen's book that I said earlier, which has this exact same title as our online course, Getting Things Done, is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. This is a book. This is a book that I read 10 years ago, highly suggested. And inside that book, on page 109, you will find the weekly rhythm register. And in the weekly rhythm register, which is a tracker to track that you are doing the things that you promised to do, and you have the measures. As it says here, establish a rhythm. This will help you to establish a rhythm. For example, if we're talking about health, you write down that I will drink 1.5 liters of water 7 days a week. Every day you add a tick if you've done it, if you drank 1.5 liters of water. At the end of the week, if you've done it for 5 times instead of 7, you add a -2 at the end here. If you say that you're going to be writing a thank you note every day to someone that you've met, and you do it 4 times a week, it's -3. If you promise to work on the book you want to write, the course you want to complete, the project you want to finish, and you say, I'm going to work on that project 3 times a week, and you work 4 times a week, that's +1. If you add it all up together and you do it and you track it for a week, and you can download this from the World Wide Web, you don't even need to buy the book, but I highly suggest you buy the book. You know how far you have gone vis-a-vis the goals that you have inputted here, and you know if you are reflecting your true self and you are moving closer to your goal. If you're not, then you're not compounding, you're losing time. And the last thing I want to mention is get a notebook. This is my notebook. It's good to have a notebook to write down the ideas that come to your mind, because there is a saying in English, there is also a saying in Greek. In English, it's the following: pale ink is more retentive than the most retentive of memories. If you fail to note down your ideas, if you fail to write them down, where you found them, which page, what did it mean at the time that you found them, you're going to lose out. So write things down so you won't forget them and you can refer back to them. And last but not least, something that we do with my team is that we look at, according to David Allen, and thanks to David Allen, we reflect back by looking things on Monday, what needs to be done during the week, and by looking things on Friday, what have we done, and we assess it. We assess it like the compound effect, and what can we do better going into next week. So with this in mind, we said our proverb from John C. Maxwell: every day you're either preparing or repairing. Our online course, which can be found on LinkedIn Learning, which is Getting Things Done by David Allen. And last but not least, our book, which is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I'm placing it now on your screen. So with this in mind, I'm going to invite my associate Maria to come up, because she has watched the online course, tell us what she found useful if she did, and anything else, any announcements that are coming up. And please do share this episode to get a chance to win the Stand Up, Stand Out online course. Maria, welcome. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm great, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing great, Maria. I'm doing great. Thank you very much. And please let me know, how did you find today's episode and which thing resonated with you, and talk to us about the online course that you have watched as well.
Yes, I think it's a great course and great resources, all of them. especially in these days world where we're all so busy with all the messages incoming our way, and phones and screens and whatever is grabbing our attention. So we really need to practice writing everything down and having a structure for our work. And I really liked a part that David Allen mentioned on the course, which I think is important, and it has to do with how we perceive stopping a new habit while we're in the process of learning it. So he's talking about starting and stopping and starting and stopping. And I think when you fall off something, we might get this idea that we failed and now we should stop because we're not good at this. But we need to really keep in mind that we're learning a new habit, and that's bound to happen because our default is something else. So he asked a question that I think is very important, and it's like, how soon can you start to recognize that you're off and you want to be back on again? So it's really about the long-term process instead of, oh, I failed at this that I've only been doing for 3 days or 1 week. So I really like that question and that change in perspective.
Can you repeat the question, please?
So the question is, how soon can you start to recognize that you're off and you want to be back on again?
Excellent. So what you're telling us, and thank you for taking a different angle from the one I took, that we are bound to fail in inverted commas, or we're bound not to have consistency when we try to capture everything, organize everything, and act on everything. So we are human beings, and we should be more patient with ourselves, correct?
Yes, and understanding. Yes, exactly.
And more understanding. Very true. So Maria, what's coming up? Please tell us what's coming up on Monday, on Wednesday, or next Friday as well.
Yes, so this coming Wednesday, we have the third part of the webinar series at University, European University Cyprus, and where you're going to be talking about emotional intelligence and soft skills, which is a very interesting and important subject. So that is available for all alumni and students at European University Cyprus. So anyone that is an alumni, a student, or anyone who knows someone that might be an alumni or a student, please urge them to sign up for it. Because
we had over 300. We had over 300 people for the last two. 300 and 300. Yeah.
Yes, and anyone who wants to participate on the on-air mentoring show on Friday, please send us your message on any social media platform. You're showing them now: YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Just leave a comment and we'll get back to you
with your question, any question that you have, business question, I mean, and we'll be more than happy. So Maria, thank you very, very much for coming up.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be closing the episode. Dear friends and fans, thank you very much for being present today on Green Monday. I have to rush because my wife is going to kill me. She said I needed to be home because we have guests at our home. If the government is listening, it's 300 euros, I know. But don't worry, we are within the number that the government has declared. So thank you very much for tuning in at Jumpstart Monday, where we share resources that can impact your business and your life. Thank you very much for being so active with your chats, and looking forward for you to sharing the episode so we can touch more lives, we can get more people on the shows. Take good care, and